Hi, friends. This week in our scripture, we got to hear about Jesus being one of the most relatable and most amazing people. Jesus is going through a really hard time in Matthew chapter 14. We see that his cousin, John the Baptist, has been killed. John was likely one of the very few people on earth who kind of understood what Jesus was going through. They're both brought into the world by incredibly extreme circumstances. They are cousins and they are both on a mission from God. And John is killed. Jesus is grieving this while he is feeding the 5,000. And by the way, that 5,000 is much more likely to be 15 to 20,000 because only men were being counted. So you've got to at least triple it. And Jesus works this miracle of feeding thousands of people while the disciples are all fretting that it is not possible. And then Jesus, he's grieving, he's tired, he needs a break. And so he sends the disciples on ahead of him in a boat to cross the sea, get to the other side. And Jesus takes time to be alone, to be in prayer with God, and to just rest for a moment. But while those poor disciples are out there on that little boat, a storm kicks up. And you know there is something to be afraid of when the professional fishermen, the professional sailors who spent all of their time on a boat on the water are scared. That's when it's time to be afraid. And they're sailing at night, it's dark, the wind is pushing them in the wrong direction. And then they see Jesus. In their terror, they see Jesus walking across the water to them. They're afraid at first that it's a ghost, but then they realize it's Jesus walking on water. This guy who's performed all of these miracles, even ones that they saw hours earlier, multiplying fish and bread to feed a multitude. Now, Jesus is walking on the water to come out to them and save them. And one of them, Peter, God bless his heart, has the audacity, the excitement, the courage, and the faith to ask Jesus to say, "Tell me to come out on the water to you." Peter believes that he can walk on water if Jesus tells him to. And Jesus says, "Come." Peter gets up with his eyes focused on Christ and he walks on water. He does what is humanly impossible apart from Christ. He walks on water. And for a moment, somebody broken and messed up and just as real as you and I gets to do the impossible. But then his concentration is broken. He takes his eyes and his focus off of Jesus and remembers, I'm still in the middle of a storm. It's still dark out. It's pitch black. The waves are crashing every which way. The wind is howling. I'm still in danger. And he begins to sink. And he cries out to Jesus, who then extends his hand and pulls Peter up out of the water. And Jesus, laughing, says, "You of little faith." You almost had it. You were there. You were there for a moment. For a moment. You were with me walking on water. Now, I like to push back a little and say, you know what? If Peter had a little faith, at least he had some, because none of the other guys were ready to jump out of the boat and walk on water. I love that about Peter. I oftentimes will walk to Lake Michigan and look at the water and just imagine what it would be like to walk on the water. And you know what? Every time I put my foot in that water, it sinks like a stone. I've never walked on water. But I love to think about when Jesus saves Peter from that storm and they get in the boat together. That's when the storm calms down. Now, I don't know what kind of storm, what kind of season of life or trials that you are going through, but you can always invite Jesus into your boat. You can always invite him into your heart to journey through life with you, because those storms will come. They may show up as joblessness, as cancer, or another serious illness. They might come as a crisis in your life. They will come. That we know for certain. But Jesus is always available to enter into your heart, to go through life with you. Do you remember that old commercial from Capital One? They used to say, "What's in your wallet?" And they were saying, "What kind of credit card do you have in your wallet?" Well, I want to ask you, who's in your boat? You can go through life with so many different people surrounding you, good people, rough people. You can choose to go through life by yourself. Best of all, invite Jesus into your boat. Have Jesus journey through life with you, because when those storms crop up, you need someone who's there with his hand out, extended to you, ready to save you, ready to get into the boat with you and calm the storm. Storms are coming, but Christ is available right now. And he does this out of love for you. He loves you so much that he promises to be with you through every trial, through every storm, and every season. I invite you to invite Christ into your heart today. God bless you, and I'll see you next week, friends.